Yes, sir. Welcome back to the garage. Gerald here with you, of course. And if you saw the thumbnail, if you saw the title, it's time for another round of power rankings for the upcoming Academy Awards. I specifically wanted to do it before we get some major precursor kind of tallies that'll be showing up that'll help us as we get closer and closer to January 22nd, which is the nominations this year. Of course, the Critics' Choice Awards are coming up this upcoming Sunday. And then we're also going to be getting our Actor Awards, or the SAG Awards. That's probably what I'm going to call it for the rest of my life. Early next week. So we're going to be getting some heavy things, but I wanted to do a round of power rankings before we get all that. So we'll see what happens this time around. But first time in the garage, I'm going to bring him in here. I haven't even told my members or patrons about this yet. Very special guest, the legend in a lab coat, as I've called him very affectionately around the garage here, Ryan Castleman. What is up, dude?
What's up, man? It's great to be in the garage. Well, not in the garage, but it's great to be in the awards garage virtually. Yeah.
Virtually in the garage.
It's going great, man.
Oh, dude, I'm so happy to have you.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I've been watching your videos. You make so many videos, so I watch as many as I can. But yeah, love your videos. Love the power rankings. I'm glad to be part of a power ranking.
What we're going to be doing is, if you watch my channel regularly, you know, but every month or maybe a couple times a month, especially as we're getting closer and closer to these nominations, I do a power rankings update. And it's kind of my predictions, but also kind of mixed with what's going on. You know, if I think something's going to get nominated, Ryan, and it's like not even getting mentioned, then of course it's not going to be on my power rankings. It might just be like a wild card situation. So this is more like what we think is actually going to happen. How do you feel covering this, you know, the Oscars race year after year? How do you feel about 2025, 26? Is it like kind of like boring, or are you like really kind of like biting your nails trying to figure out what's going to happen? How do you feel about this year's race?
Oh, God, I love it. I think this is one of my favorite years so far. I mean, every year it seems to get better and better, at least to me, because, you know, for me, I think what's really, changed the whole entire race has been that international membership increase in the Academy. So ever since that international increase, and we're seeing more international films get in, it's exciting. And then this year we got Neon with like 5 international films, possibly even 6, all vying to get into the Best Picture lineup. I think it's awesome. I think we've been wanting international films to be considered more for Best Picture, and we're finally seeing it happen. So I think this is a great time for the Academy nerds out there like myself. So yeah, I love it.
I agree 1,000%. I mean, that's definitely the highlight for sure over the last, really since the Parasite year, it's been like increasing, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there. And it's getting to like a boiling point for the international flavor. And I'm with you. I love it. Real quick, I know that you're excited about the international piece, but I don't want to give you a cop out at the beginning here.
Uh-oh.
Do you feel like, how confident, in other words, do you feel like where you're sitting right now before all the CCA and SAG notes that we're going to get in the next week or so? Do you feel really like, are you like, I got this? Or are you kind of like, oh, I don't know?
Oh, I definitely always feel ill. I don't know. Like, this is like the worst time for me because, like you said, I'm the nerd with the lab coat who, once I get all the data, I like going through it, and I don't got PGA, I don't got SAG, so you know, you're asking me to use my own gut instinct. That's the worst. I'm terrible at the gut stuff. So yeah, I definitely prefer looking more at the information. But yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good, but there's some in the supporting actress category is like, what is going on? I still don't know what's going on there. But yeah. It's still a lot to think about.
You know what's interesting too about that, and why I love having you on for one of these rankings videos, and hopefully we'll do more in the future together, is like, I'm the opposite, where like I do go a lot on hunch, and usually I'll stick with my hunch until that data is like, you're an idiot, like you shouldn't be doing that, and then I'll kind of adjust. And I've always been really lucky. Like, I don't know why. Like, you know, I had Mikey Madison from the very, very beginning last year. That's just an example. And like, she went all the way to lead actress. A lot of people weren't even on it at the very end because of Demi Moore's push and whatnot. So I've just always had, not always, of course, but I always have a pretty good track record with my hunches. And I'll stick with them for as long as I can, basically. There's a couple this year that didn't work out, like Jennifer Lawrence probably, and a couple others. But we'll maybe talk about some of those tonight. So... And then you're a data guy, so I love that too. I love using your insight for sure. So we're going to look at Best Picture to get things started. So Ryan, I thought the best way to kind of do this, because I didn't want you to reveal your predictions to me up front, right? Because you were like, oh, I'll send you my 10. I'm like, no, don't do that. I want to be a surprise.
Yeah.
So I figured the best thing is I'll start with what I have listed 1 through like 7, I'll say, because I feel like you're probably going to have all 7 of these. And then after I do that, you kind of tell me where you have them positioned, okay? And then we'll see the last 3, what we're kind of looking at for Best Picture. But here's what I've got, my top 7. I've got One Battle After Another winning currently, my number 1, followed by Sinners, Hamnet, Sentimental Value, It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme, and Frankenstein would be my top 7 currently.
Yeah, I think I have Marty Supreme and It Was Just an Accident flipped, but other than that, I can't complain with that. Like, I just feel so sure that those 7 are in. I have no complaints. I don't quibble with your lineup at all.
Okay, great. Yeah, It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme, and really Sentimental Value too. They're all kind of tied, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, there's like a 4A, B, C situation. So I kind of am with you on that they're flip flopped and you could put them wherever. But I feel really good about those 7. The Marty Supreme one, I just saw that recently, about a week and a half or so ago. I know a lot of people got to see it early at New York Film Festival and whatnot. You've seen it, by the way, right? You saw it.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I thought I saw a review on your channel, so I'm just making sure. So the thing with that one is I wasn't like a detractor of it, but I also wasn't like fully bought into that one as a Best Picture or like top of the line player until I saw it. Just because
yes.
Because like the Safdie brothers, they haven't had a lot of success as a duo, and he's on his own for the first time. And, of course, Timothy brings an element of prestige to the projects that he's in. So I felt good about him, but after I saw it, I'm like, okay, yes, please, this is getting nominated. It's beautiful. It looks great. A very eclectic style. It does have that Uncut Gems feel, but it's got a little something extra to it that does add a little, like an extra layer to some of the Safdie brothers stuff, I feel like, and the period setting and everything else. So yes, I feel really good about that one now. In the last couple of weeks, that one's cemented for me. So then when we get past that number 7, why don't you go? What do you have in your 8 spot? And then I'll tell you if I have that and where I have it.
Okay, well, I arguably have about 11 films that I'm trying to shove. I have 11. I have 4 more films that I'm trying to shove in those 3 spots. I had to make a brutal cut. But at number 8, this might surprise you. I have The Secret Agent in at number 8. Yeah, is that a little too high?
No, I was going to see what else you had to say there, because it doesn't surprise me, because that's also my number 8. Now,
very cool.
Now hold on, let me ask you this, because this will lead into this kind of beautiful agreement that we're having here, because mine is really based on that hunch I was telling you about. And I'm assuming, is yours based on data at all, or you just kind of like, you just feel good about it? I'm just asking out of curiosity.
It's mostly based on data. Mostly. Okay. I mean, I think it's an educated, calculated risk that I'm taking. I don't even know if I would call it a risk really at this point. Like, I think, I don't know how you feel about Wagner Moura in Best Drama Actor at Globes, but I kind of feel pretty good about him winning that one.
Me too.
And
me too.
I think if you're looking at what happened with last year with I'm Still Here, that win with I'm sorry, I'm forgetting, or Fernando Torres is what, that's what launched that film into the spotlight for Best Picture. So I would say that Secret Agent already has a head start that I'm Still Here kind of didn't have. So I think that's one reason I'm kind of feeling more confident. I think Wagner Moura is going to win that. It's going to help launch it. And also it has that Golden Globe Best Drama nomination, which I'm Still Here didn't have. So I think that kind of also helps. I do have a stat for you. You want to hear the stat?
Yeah, I was going to. That's why I'm asking. Yeah, I want to hear it because I don't know if I know that. Okay. So go ahead.
All right. So you have to go back to 2002, About Schmidt, one of my favorite actually films, to find a winner that won a leading prize, an acting prize at Golden Globes, and was nominated for Best Film at Golden Globes. Then ended up missing Best Picture nomination. Does that make sense?
Over 20 years ago.
Yes, over 20 years ago, a film that's nominated for Best Drama and wins an acting award, typically that film goes on to be nominated for the Oscar. You have to go back to 2002 to find one that isn't.
Guys, put it, me and Ryan are telling you to put it in your 10. I put it in there a couple weeks ago when it was I think it was the runner-up of the LA Film Critics, which really it was the winner because, One Battle won. So, of course, nobody was going to beat One Battle. Yeah. So everybody was playing for runner-up there, and it got runner-up for the LA Film Critics. We're not talking about an international body or anything. So and then you add that international element in it too, and like you're mentioning, the success that it's probably going to have at the Globes, and at a minimum that it's already had nominations wise. And
Yeah.
I do love Wagner Moore's performance there, and I think he is on his way to. I mean, I haven't done my Globe predictions yet, but I would be surprised if he doesn't win that Best Drama category. A lot of the main players are in the comedy this year anyway, it turns out. So,
Yeah.
if he was up against Leo or something, or Timmy, it might be different, but I feel
Definitely.
good about him there. So mine is Hunch because of the LA Film Critics, because of Mora's success lately, because of Brazil's kind of power last season with I'm Still Here. And there's just a lot of passion, and I made a comment about I'm Still Here last year and Fernanda Torres, which was one of my favorite performances before she got nominated. And I made a comment about, I wish the U.S. would be as passionate about anything in the world of cinema that Brazil was for that one performance. You know what I mean? It was so crazy to me.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, me too. So it's so great. So we're in agreement so far, 1 through 8. So now give me your 9, because I think 9 and 10. I don't know. I feel like you might come at me with 10, but that's all right. I'm here for you. I love you. So what do you got at number 9? Though? Let's start there.
At number 9, and this one I'm actually not too sure about. I've been having second thoughts a little bit about it. I still have it in there. I think there's a chance that it maybe something might happen where it doesn't get in, because it does have a very like Train Dreamsy kind of feel to what's going on with this film. But Train Dreams, I have Train Dreams at number 9.
Oh boy. Okay, so we do miss finally. We have a miss finally.
Okay.
Well, first let me tell you what I have at number 9, and then we can kind of talk about these two projects and why we think one or the other is in and one's not. So I've got Begonia currently in my number 9.
Yeah. Yes.
Which we'll talk a little bit about what. So do you have Begonia in as your 10 or no?
I do actually. Yeah.
Okay, so you agree with me on Begonia. All right, so let me give you my 10, and then we know what everybody has, and we can talk about the 2 that we're different on.
Your 10 is Wicked.
It absolutely is. You're damn right. You didn't see my Glinda poster behind me, did you? To give it away.
No, I didn't.
All right. I have my Ariana poster back there, but you can't really see it in the background. So, all right. So, Train Dreams and Wicked for Good are our 2 differences here. Now, in fairness, I will go ahead and tell you that I am hanging on to Wicked for Good kind of as a super fan of the franchise, of the film, of the musical, of Ariana, etc. So I know that's dumb to do that when you're doing predictions. But from a data standpoint, you'll appreciate this. When I did my last Power Rankings video and I sat down to do my 10, it was in there at that point also. It's never been outside of my 10. And I was looking at the precursors that I've looked at the last few years that I've been doing this for YouTube and on my podcast. And there was nothing telling me that it shouldn't be in the 10 yet. Now, when we get stuff that we're going to get in the next week, that could be a different story. But I stick, like I told you earlier, I stick with my hunches if they're reasonable until I just can't anymore. And right now, with the exception of the one miss where it didn't get in at, was it the Globes that it missed for musical or comedy?
Yes.
It was, right? Yeah, because that was with the new Volvogue thing or whatever. So with the exception of that miss, which was pretty weird, honestly, especially in a musical category, because also Ann Lee missed. I mean, there's no musicals in there. Really, there's no comedies in there either, which is kind of crazy. There's nothing to really tell me like, oh yeah, I need to jump ship. You know what I mean? Like urgently, So I'm still hanging on to it. I want to hear your take on Train Dreams and why you decided to kind of fit that one into the 10. What's your argument for that one there?
My argument is that ultimately, like when I compare Wicked and Train Dreams and a few other contenders, it feels like Train Dreams was arguably, there will be no way to know exactly, but Train Dreams did get, I believe it got the AFI, it got the MBR, it got Critics' Choice, right? So it's doing pretty good. It didn't get the Golden Globes, just kind of similar to Wicked, but I think that category for the Globes was a little harder to crack in than it was for Wicked. I mean, Wicked got beat out by Begonia, got beat out by, not Begonia, but got beat out by, like you said, Nouvelle Vague. Yeah. So, but I will say though, the reason why I do pause a little bit is because I see how similar of a path it's taking to Sing Sing right now, where Sing Sing also missed Globes, right? Yeah. So I do understand the value. Maybe I should have Train Dreams and Begonia switched. But the only reason why for Begonia, I guess, is I'm thinking about how films are voted for Best Picture. And I know that you need a lot of like number ones. You need passion. You don't need the majority of number ones, but you need like a nice sizable chunk of the Academy to say, I love this film, I'm putting it number 1 in order to get nominated. And I think that's where I hesitate a little bit with Begonia, is I don't like know who's putting that number 1. Like who,
Hmm.
like I see it as a very like 3-4 kind of film.
Hmm.
So I don't know and then I'm trying to remember what the original question was about.
No, you're doing good. I was just asking about your mentality of putting Train Dreams in the 10 because I honestly want to know genuinely because I have it at number 11 right now.
Hmm.
I have Jay Kelly at 12, and then let me see what else I had in the mix here because I eliminated it down to 15. So I've got, just for honorable mentions real quick, I've got Train Dreams, Jay Kelly, No Other Choice, Surratt, and Blue Moon would be like my only, altogether, that's the only 15 I think, unless something crazy happens on nominations morning, I
Yeah.
don't think we'll hear any other titles mentioned if they're not among those 15, personally. I know
Yeah,
you
I
said you
think
had a bunch in the mix, but go ahead.
yeah. I think my version of Wicked for you was No Other Choice. Like I was holding on to that.
Hmm.
And I recently had to kind of not that I think it's gone or anything. I did get the Golden Globe Comedy Actor and Best Film
Hmm.
nomination, but it's not popping up as much as I want it to. And just looking at the data from the other ones, it does feel like Bugonia is something I have been underestimating a little bit. Like I wasn't fully aware just how much it's been doing this season. Like it got the
Hmm.
AFI, it got the Critics' Choice, it got on the MBR, it got
Was.
2 acting nominations for
Hmm.
Globes. I mean, it's been doing better than I was even like taking in. So
Well,
yeah,
we'll
I don't
we'll
know.
talk about other categories as we get on the line as well. But we're not really talking about below the line tonight. But I think Begonia is a big one for like adapted screenplay.
Hmm.
Could, I have it in the 5 for that currently, which is obviously a top of the line when you're thinking of like what the haul is going to be for Best Picture. I've also got it in
Yeah.
the mix for editing, which usually lines up with Best Picture nominees. In
Mm.
fact, it's usually 5 Best Picture nominees for editing. So, I've got it for all that stuff. Lead actress, most likely for Emma Stone. We'll get there in a minute. But, I just, Train Dreams, I'm a little more worried about, I guess. Ironically, in my personal ranking, Train Dreams would be higher than Begonia. I love both of them, but I would rank Train Dreams higher as like a better film overall. But just trying to think about what the Academy is going to do and what the package is going to be for the movies.
Yeah.
Train Dreams, I think the cinematography is, I won't say a no-brainer because Nickel Boys missed somehow, but
Yeah.
it should be a no-brainer. But Edgerton might sneak in, or I know Nick Cave has a song that might sneak in, that kind of stuff. But it's like I'm kind of like looking for something. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Begonia has been showing up at places that lead me to believe
Yeah.
like it would be a surprise if it didn't get some of that stuff. So that's just why
Yeah.
it's a little bit stronger for me.
If it misses PGA, okay, I'll take it out. No problem.
Right.
I think PGA for me is the final thing it needs to get. If it gets PGA, all right, it's getting in.
Then
But
it
if it
looks great.
misses,
I agree with
I'll
that.
rip it
I
out.
agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and similarly with Wicked for Good for me, even as a super fan, I can tell you that even though it would bring me to tears to do it, I would take it out if it doesn't get. I've always said if it doesn't get 2 of the next 3 major televised precursors. So that's for me, SAG, PGA, and BAFTA. If it doesn't get 2 of those 3, then
Mhm.
it's in trouble, and I would probably at least have it at 11 at that point because now. Did it like show up literally everywhere and beyond than I expected it to on the short list? Yes, it did.
Yeah.
I didn't even expect that. But that doesn't translate to nominations, obviously. But that was still a really good sign that the Academy still really likes it. They still really like that franchise and they want to
Mhm.
give it an opportunity
Definitely.
to be nominated. So it's going to be nominated. I mean, at a minimum, if you hate the movie, at a minimum, it's going to probably get like 3 or 4 nominations. I mean, just without doing
Yeah.
anything.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be there. It's going to be present on the night. So again, I try to be like smart in my predictions, but there's just nothing really telling me right now that I need to like rush to drop it out of the 10. But next week I could be singing a different tune, so we'll kind of see. What did you have, Ryan, in your honorables there? I gave you the 5 that I have kind of on the outside looking in that could be swapped out literally in a split second. What other movies do you think have a possibility to legitimately show up in the Best Picture 10 this year?
Well, like you said, I really do have Wicked right outside the 10 for me because I think a lot of people think I'm underestimating Wicked. I'm definitely not underestimating it, in my
Hmm.
opinion. I mean, if it got the Golden Globe nomination, I'd put it in a
I know.
heartbeat. It wouldn't
It'd
be
be so
no
strong.
problem.
Yeah.
And I do think it's going to it's going to get that nomination at SAG. I think it's going to get that nomination at PGA. I mean, Wakanda Forever, I think, got that nomination for PGA. So I see like Wicked could easily still be in this race, no problem.
Hmm.
So I have that right outside right now with 11. I have no other choice. That's my hope diction. I just hope it happens. But I think
Me
looking
too.
at kind of all the films that Neon has this year, like, is it reasonable that Neon's going to have 5, international films in the Best Picture lineup? I mean, I would be amazing. To me, I'm kind of like hoping that it gets in. And if it doesn't get in, at least I predicted it out. So it's one of those things where I'll just not predict it and be
You mean for
ecstatic if it gets
international? You
in.
mean? You mean for
I
international?
mean, even for Best Picture, I mean,
Okay, all right.
international. I think it's in for international
Okay.
category, but for picture, I feel like if it gets in, great. But if it doesn't get in, well, at least I predicted
Man,
it that it wouldn't get in. So that's where I'm at
that
right
would
now.
be so good. That would be so
Oh, it'd
good.
be amazing.
Let me ask you about a couple that you didn't mention. I may have
I'll,
glossed over them. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll say one more. I do think Blue Moon is something that I wouldn't completely discount.
Yeah.
I have that probably at number 12 or 13 right now.
Now, I always kind of thought that to begin with, just knowing what it was about. In fact, if you go back, people don't believe me with my hunches, but I'm telling you, if you go back to like March, I had, my buddy Matt from NBP and Cody Derricks and
Yeah.
we and Fuji, and we did like this fantasy draft of upcoming titles that we thought could be in the race. And I said Blue Moon right out of the gate. I mean, I was like
Nice.
Richard Linklater, Ethan Hawke, based on a Broadway real life story biopic. Like I didn't know anything else about it. Margaret Qualley was in it, and she had just been getting a lot of shout outs for The Substance at the time. I'm like, let's do it. That sounds like perfect to me. Yeah. So I've always kind of thought it sounded Oscar-y, and it's Sony Pictures Classics. So people need to remember that they are not a stranger to getting films into Best Picture. And now that it has the Globes push, it's a possibility for sure. The only other one that you didn't, well, I want to ask your opinion as a data guy, okay? Because one of my top 10 films of the year right now that I was literally, you know how sometimes you like love a movie and you don't get a lot of hype for it because you see it early or you just stay off social media or whatever the case may be. And there's not a lot of hype and you kind of go into it with like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, this is gonna be cool. And it ends up just being one of your favorite movies of the year. And then you see the feedback and it's not good. And you're like, what? What did I miss? But anyway, I love Jay Kelly from Netflix, the Clooney Sandler movie. And you're a fan of it as well. That's good. But is that dead? I mean, what is that? It's not going to make it to Best Picture now, right? We're dead on that.
I personally think it's dead. I mean, of course you would have to put it on the table just because the pedigree that's involved in the film. But I'm really not like looking at that as like a real threat to get in anymore. Like I think it's pretty much dead in my opinion.
Is so. I agree from like a stats perspective, but that is so weird to me from like a narrative perspective because that is such an Oscar like. This is your film, guys. Nominate it. Do whatever you want with it. This is perfect for you. I think if it had been 10 years ago, it would probably be the number one for Best Picture. It's just that speaks to the new Academy, I guess. I think SAG's going to be a make or break. Like if you think Jay Kelly has any kind of lifeline, SAG is like make or break for films like Jay Kelly because if it doesn't show up there, it's literally deader than dead. So.
Like in order to stay surviving, it's got to be SAG, Ensemble. It's got to get into PGA, like both of them. I think in order to stick around.
Which I mean, I'm trying to not be biased when I say this, but frankly, it could and should maybe get into both of those. I mean, it's a great ensemble. It really is. Mm-hmm. And the PGA I could see too. So. The only other one that I have in my 15 that I recently added actually because it's surging big time right now is Surratt. Have you seen that one? How do you feel about that?
Oh, yeah. I love Surratt. Never thought it would be popping up as much as it did on the Oscar shortlist. Love that film. It's one of my top 5 films of the year.
It's good, man.
Yeah, I would love to see it get in.
So I think that's a player too. I don't know if it can leapfrog movies like No Other Choice in the international field or Train Dreams like we were talking about, but Neon is, they know what they're doing. I mean, obviously, there's no question there. So, all right. So, it should be on the screen, guys, but you can see the 10 there for Ryan and the 10 for me currently. That's on December 30th as we're recording. So, it's about 5 or 6 days before the Critics' Choice Awards are handed out, which may or may not change it a little bit. The only difference is I have Wicked for Good in my 10, and a Legend in a Lab Coat has Train Dreams in his 10. So I like it. Either way, I'm good. I love both those movies, so I'm into it. All right, so let's switch to Best Director now, which might be a little bit easier of a conversation, although the 5th spot might be a toss-up here. So let's see. So here's what I got for the top 4, Ryan. Stop me if you don't have any of these guys. Just raise your hand if you don't have anything that I'm saying here. My number 1 is PTA, Paul Thomas Anderson, One Battle After Another. My number 2 currently, although it's a 2A, 2B, but my number 2 right now is Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident. My number 3 is Coogler for Sinners. And my number 4 is Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. You have all 4 of those in your lineup.
I have all 4 of those in my lineup, but I have Coogler at 5th, to be honest.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Don't be one of the ones that say he's going to get snubbed. How brutal would that be for the optics? Please nominate him, Academy.
It would be horrible. Yeah.
And I mean, we're not doing, like I said, we're not doing below the line, but I've got Sinners as the most nominated film currently with my overall predictions. I have it getting like 14 nominations. So to not give the director a nomination, now of course that's a prediction. I mean, who knows? But yeah. Okay, but you do have him in. So for the 5th spot, who do you have at your 5? And I'll let you know if I have the same thing.
Oh yeah, I have Trier. Yeah.
All right, so we do have a difference there. I thought we were going to be so
no way.
symbiotic tonight.
You're snubbing Joaquin?
I am, yeah. I think I don't want to, but
of course.
Now, Worst Person in the World that he did a few years ago, I think it's a better film. But in fairness, he was new. He was. Was that his first? I don't know if that was his first feature, but I know it was early in his career. So it made a little more sense why he would be quote unquote snubbed for that movie versus this one. A little more prestige behind it, the Cannes success, etc. So I don't want to snub him, and my preference would be for him to be in the 5. But right now I have Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein at my number 5.
No way. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
Yeah, and the Globes nomination for GDT kind of helped me get there because I was like, oh, okay, well, I was already kind of thinking that based on his name alone. Again, kind of like I said with my Wicked thing, I just have this hunch about GDT. They love him. Movies that weren't even nearly as well received or as big of a tech player as Frankenstein is got in to director, picture, and other categories. So he's just got the lineage and the pedigree with the Academy, man, that I just don't want to doubt him really. At this point, especially since he hasn't really missed anything that I thought he was going to miss, me personally. And I do think Frankenstein also, to kind of make sense in my predictions, it's a huge tech player for me. I think I've got Frankenstein getting a lot. I've got it getting currently 9 nominations in total on the night of. So, I don't see why GDT would miss if it's that well received across all the branches. So that's why I've got him in there. Sentimental value, I also have getting 9, so the argument falls a little flat there because I have that getting just as many nominations. But I don't know. I just need to wait and see if somebody's going to be the first one to be like, okay, Del Toro, this is not your year. Because right now I'm not feeling that. You know what I mean? I feel like people still love him as much as they always have. And this is a better movie in terms of like how it's being received overall than some of his other projects that have gotten the credibility in the past. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, there's a world where I think, because with DGA, right? DGA, the international directors always struggle getting into DGA. So Trier and Panahi, will they get in DGA? Likely not, right? I think you snubbing Trier is a little bit in where I was trying to do last year with Emilia Perez. I was saying, I think there's a chance that he's going to get that Jacques Audiard is going to get snubbed for Emilia Perez, and then it became clear that he's not missing anywhere. Even at the DGA. So I was like,
I think that's Panahi this year too. Yeah.
You think that's Panahi? Interesting. Yeah, what I'm thinking right now, I kind of feel like it's more likely that Guillermo del Toro and Josh Safdie shows up at DGA and Trier and Panahi miss just because they're not well-known names within DGA. A lot of TV directors vote for this category, and they might not be, I'll just say, cultured enough to know all the people on the table, but so that's why I had Trier. Also, there's that Cannes stat. Are you familiar with that? I learned this from watching an Oscar expert video, and I was like, oh wow, this would have definitely helped me with Jacques Audiard last year. But basically, it's a Cannes related stat, and it says that since 2002, every Best Picture nominee that premiered at Cannes got a Best Director nomination as well, with the exception of Elvis, which screened out of competition. And the last time this didn't happen was Moulin Rouge. So we're on a 20 movie streak where the film that premieres at Cannes, if it premiered at Cannes and it's in picture, that's likelihood of getting a director. I think there's
Got it.
For example, Justine Trier a couple years ago for Anatomy of Fall got in over who'd she get in over? I think Barbie. Was it Barbie? I think she got
Gerwig,
in
yeah.
over.
Yep.
Yeah, Gerwig. Ruben Östlund got in, I think, for that category over.
That's true.
Oh gosh, I wish I could remember who they got in over, but yeah. So
You're right, though.
that's why I
Trying to
feel
upset us.
I feel pretty good about them at this point. So Chloe
Okay.
Zhao is, for some reason, like, I have her at 4. I feel like she's pretty safe because I think the film
Yeah.
is so poetic, so elegant. But yeah,
So-
number 5, that's where I have Coogler though. And for reasons that I guess maybe you understand, it's like a big blockbuster. I
Yeah.
know it's going to be the most
Yeah.
awarded, nominated film of the year. But what do you think about Zhao
No.
and Coogler? Like, you feel very good about them?
You're right. Those are the two that are probably in most danger, even more so than Joachim Trier. So I agree with you. I just, like, at the same time, I'm like, this is a more, for lack of a better way to put it, a more well-behaved Academy that's hopefully going to do the right thing in certain situations. So, everybody loves, and I'm just using this as an example, but everybody loves Marty Supreme, myself included, as my top 5 of the year.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
flawlessly directed. I freaking love it. But I mean, it just seems like, I don't want to say wrong, because I'm not trying to downplay what Safdie did in that movie, but it would just seem weird to me, or strange, that somebody like him would make it in over Ryan Coogler based on the year in film. And it would just be like a weird thing, even though I love both of them and I would love for both of them to be in, but there's only 5 spots, right? So somebody's going to miss.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just using Safdie as an example, as like a fill-in spot there, because I know a lot of people have him in right now. The GDT thing, Frankenstein, honestly, of all the people I'm looking at right now in my director possibilities, honestly, Frankenstein's ranked last for me. I have 8 names here.
Yeah.
And it would be my number 8. So it's not like I want that to get nominated. That stat that you just told me is very interesting, though, because I didn't obviously factor that into my mentality here. So if that was to ring true again this year and that pattern didn't break, then Trier would be in, as would Panahi, and somebody like Zhao or Coogler would miss, right? So
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, like I was originally thinking that, okay, Ryan Coogler could be like this year's Barbie. It's not really shaping up to be Barbie at all. It's doing much better than Barbie did in terms of like critics' prizes. And now it's looking definitely more like Get Out, where Jordan Peele got nominated. So I am feeling a lot better about Coogler getting in at this point. The reason why Chloe Zhao gives me a little bit of hesitation is, like, do you remember last year we had like a major snub with Conclave, right? Missing director. Such a big snub because it got in like everywhere in Miss Director. So I was like, what happened there? And I really can't figure out exactly what happened there, other than to say that maybe the direction is very like invisible to a certain degree, even though I think the direction's great. I love Edward Berger's direction in that. But maybe I'm trying to figure out something, like some reason why Conclave didn't get nominated in director. And I'm thinking if there was a snub like that this year, maybe it could be Zhao, because it's such subtle kind of poetic direction. It's not very flashy, like say a Josh Safdie, but I don't know. It's hard to imagine she misses.
So I'm one of the few people that predicted that last year, or at least of the people that I know that predicted Edward Berger to get snubbed for Mangold. And I think that it was a hunch, as usual with me, but I think that Mangold is the reason he missed. It wasn't anything that he did wrong necessarily, and that's a little bit kind of what I'm saying with Del Toro as well. It's him. It's just so loved in certain branches, and in Del Toro's case, it's all of Hollywood. And it was a music biopic too. Talking about Mangold, I freaking love that stuff. So they eat it up, and I just kind of saw that happening. Even though I didn't necessarily agree with it, even though I love both movies, but I just thought A Complete Unknown was going to be a big player when I saw it like a couple weeks before Christmas. I was like, all right, like, here we go. This is going to be something the Academy's going to eat up. So I don't know, but that kind of fits with my mentality for Del Toro here. But I get what you're saying. And honestly, when I do my updates in a week or two after the other precursors have started to kind of come in, that's something I'm going to take into consideration, because you might be onto something there. Because I can't say one thing that I do and one thing I don't do, because I love that stat that you just told me that you got from Cole and Justin, because I didn't know that. But I also thought that with the the Palm winner at Cannes getting a Best Picture nominee, as soon as Panahi won that, I was like, well, that's in my 10. I've never taken it out just because of that stat, Like was it Titan, I think, was the only time that missed in the last like 8 years or something like that. So like,
Right.
what other directors? So let me give you my honorables real quick that we didn't mention so far. Actually, everybody that is on my honorables we've mentioned except for Mendoza for The Secret Agent. So I've got him as a possibility as well. And then I've got Trier and Safdie right on the outside looking in currently as well. Anybody else that you think is in the mix and could be in there?
I mean, not really likely, but God, a Park Chan-wook would make my day. But other than that, I agree with you. I think Phil Ho is something definitely a good wild card to put out there because, you know, I think he's a beloved director as well. And if there wasn't as many international directors maybe on the table this year, maybe I would be a lot easier to say, hey, he's going to be the surprise. But yeah, I think I would put that one outside. And that Josh Safdie is my number 6. I think that's possible too, just because it's so flashy. Great reviews too from Mighty Supreme. Better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, really well received. Do you think, before we move on to the acting stuff, real quick, if Coogler or Chloe Zhao had to miss in this scenario, which one do you think is more vulnerable? Like, which one do you think is more snub worthy among the Academy of those two? Your opinion off the top of your head.
That's a great question. It's a complete coin toss. But I'm gonna, you know what? I probably should put Chloe Zhao at number 5 because Ryan Coogler missing. I think when it's possibly
that can't happen.
I don't think it can be. I don't think so either. I mean, it is something that the director branch could do that would really upset everyone because, you know, they really do sometimes dislike movies that make money. But, you know, I don't know. It's difficult. I would say that Coogler is probably safer than Zhao if I had a gun to my head.
I think so too. And also, I mean, as much as it sucks, I mean, we were just talking about Greta Gerwig. I mean, it's not like they don't have a history of snubbing women too. So, you know, and she's won an Oscar very recently and they're going to know that, you know, like, oh, she has an Academy Award that's still fresh, you know, the paint hasn't even dried on it, you know? So I don't know. I've got her in right now. I just feel like it's such a beautifully directed movie and it has the theater tie-in, you know, and performing tie-in. So I don't know, man. I just feel like the 5 I have, with the exception of GDT, those 4, I just feel like you have to nominate those 4. And if they don't, then one of those is definitely going to be considered a snub this year. So, all right. So let's do supporting actor first, because this one might be a little bit easier, at least till we get to that 5th spot. So let me give you my top 4 real quick. So I'm assuming you have all the same 5. Okay. Well, I guess maybe based on what we just talked about a minute ago, maybe. So I'll just give you the 5 real quick, and you tell me if anything's different or the order or whatever. So I don't really know what to do with my number 1, but I'll tell you why I left Stellan Skarsgård, but he's my number 1 right now. Okay. Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, Paul Mescal, and Jacob Elordi would round out my 5 for Frankenstein. Is that your 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Who do you have at 1 right now? Who do you have winning right now?
I have Sean Penn winning. I don't feel like entirely. Yeah.
Okay.
I've had it winning for a long time. I don't know why. Just ever since I saw the performance, it just like pops. And I know that it's not like beloved by everyone. I would say. I think some people think he's a little over the top, but sometimes over the top performances still win. I think Sean Penn's very beloved. So I do have it number 1. I wouldn't be shocked if it didn't win though. I mean, it's a soft number 1.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Benicio del Toro for a second because he's really been overperforming in terms of like, you know, what he's been getting nominations out there on the circuit and winning critics awards like left and right. He has a pretty, I don't want to say minimal, but he has a pretty small like screen time role at least in the film. So I was a little surprised because like I love Benicio del Toro, don't get me wrong, and I thought his performance in that movie along with Leo was probably like the most like fun performance. Like it was just fun to see him on screen and he was such a calming presence in that movie. So I loved him in it and I think it's worthy what's happening for him. But at the same time, I was a little surprised because to your point, Sean Penn was much more like theatrical and you could tell like he was performing and he was like really diving into the craft and all the years of experience that he has. And like, you know, it was really like a great effort by him in terms of like just the craft of acting. I mean, so you know, he made that character detestable based on his performance on top of, you know, what came along with it thematically. So I was just surprised by that of the two, you know, that Benicio would be popping off like that. But Stellan Skarsgård, so you have Sean Penn. So for me, Stellan Skarsgård, the reason that I'm like telling myself he's got to win this is because, well, first of all, I mean, he's great, and it's a great career the dude's had, and I mean, he's due, right? He's due some flowers, right? That's the first thing.
Yeah,
but
great narrative
from for sure. And sentimental value as a film is easily one of the best films of the year. It's got the international piece to it, and I want to ask you, and we're not doing bottom of the line stuff, but I just don't know what else that movie can win. That's my big takeaway here is sentimental value going to come and go 2025 with nothing from the Academy? It just seems really weird to me. And I don't have it winning anything currently. I have it as like number 2 in a couple categories maybe. And we'll talk about one here in a second, but I don't have it winning anything right now with the exception of Stellan Skarsgård. Do you think it's a kind of a goose egg for that movie on wins this year, or do you have it winning some stuff?
I personally don't have it winning right now anything, and I don't think it's I don't think the Academy doesn't often like think that way, right? Where they're like going down their bat, like I gotta give a film.
Sure.
Sometimes it just happens, and they don't even realize. Oh, I didn't know we didn't award sentimental value or anything. That happens sometimes, where a film they beloved they nominated everywhere. I mean, Amelia Perez only won what was it, 1 or 2 Oscars, right?
Song and Zoe. Yeah, 2, yeah.
Zoe, right. So, I mean, I don't think it's always the case that they're going to have to award it somewhere. So I have it currently getting nothing. Yeah.
No, you're right. And I'm not saying that can't happen because obviously it can. I mean, we're just talking about A Complete Unknown, which got nothing. And that was like 10 nominations. Yeah. So, I mean, of course it can happen. But I just, in my head, I'm like, should it happen? You're like, no, it shouldn't happen. It should have something. You know what I mean? So I'm just like,
yeah, of course.
It's just hard to put my hands around that. But you're absolutely right. But right now, and honestly, I've got Benicio second and then Sean Penn third. But I do think if Stellan can't pull it out, it's going to be one of those one battle dudes. And that's another reason why I have Stellan at first too, because I feel like there could be vote splitting, which you hear about all the time when a movie shares nominees in the category. So that could help Stellan too at the end of the day. But that's where we're at. As far as Adam Sandler, which is the only other person I even have remotely in the mix, is there anybody else besides Sandler that you think is a possibility before we talk about that?
I mean, Delroy Lindo would be the 7, but
I wanted him to be a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible. They do love him, but yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good about my 5, to be completely honest, especially with how good like Frankenstein performed at Globes. That kind of really locked in Elordi for me at the 5th spot. The other thing I will say too about Sean Penn, like this is what I think will happen, and maybe you can tell me what you think, but I think Globes, like currently, I think this like could be a race where like the films go to like the different televised awards go to different actors, and right now I got Skarsgård winning Globe, and then maybe critics will be like Skarsgård. I don't really know what's going to happen to critics. Maybe it's Penn. And then at SAG, I think it's going to be Penn. For some reason, I just feel like at SAG, it's going to be Penn. And then BAFTA will do Penn or Skarsgård. So I think that there's a world where like this race could be a lot more competitive than we're expecting. Yeah,
definitely more competitive than last year with what was it, Culkin, right? I mean, it was just like everywhere, So definitely more competitive than that. The thing with Sandler, though, I that's another one that I really didn't want to let go of. But kind of like we were talking about the picture, it's just so weird. Jay Kelly's just not, and it's just not performing, as well as it needs to for him to come along with it. It's not going to have a Best Picture nomination probably, so that's going to hurt him. Baumbach's not going to get into the screenplay like I originally thought. So we match up there on our 5. Now things could get a little more dicey as we get into supporting actress. Oh my God. I told you about the poster on the wall back here, so just be mindful what you're doing over there, Ryan. Here we go.
Oh, man.
Here we go. All right, so I'm actually scared to go first this time, but I'll stay with the theme, okay? So I think, you know what, man? I don't even know if I can say this confidently. I was going to say I think we have the same 3, not maybe in the same order, but I think we have the same top 3. But honestly, I don't even know if that's true. So raise your hand. I'll be looking at you as I'm saying my top 3.
Okay.
Raise your hand if anything's off with this 3, okay? My number 1 is currently Queen Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good. Then I have Teyana Taylor. Okay, you got your hand up already. I've got Teyana Taylor and Amy Madigan. So those are my top 3. Go. You raise your hand. Go ahead. What's going on?
No, yeah, I have Teyana Taylor and Amy Madigan as well. I think you would be happy to know that I did not boot Ariana Grande out of my 5, though. So I don't know if I was supposed to raise my hand if she's not included.
That's
Okay.
okay. No, you don't have her at 1, but you do have her in the 5.
I do have her in the 5. I put her in probably 10 minutes before we hopped on.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. All right.
um,
Well, you know, I
yeah,
I feel like, I mean, it's gonna be a lot of the same argument I gave for the film, so I won't rehash it. But for me, I just don't have a
sure,
reason yet to like abandon my queen. Basically, you know what I mean?
sure.
We're going to be talking about lead actress in a minute, and it pained me to have to make some decisions with Elphaba, that was Cynthia Erivo. But Ariana Grande, I do feel like, I've always told myself from that hunch standpoint that I told you that I usually lean into. I've always told myself, like, when it comes to, even though this isn't a sequel, but I won't get into the whole superfan diatribe about that, but the Academy is probably going to view it as a sequel. So when it comes to that, it has to be elevated and better than what they saw in the first one. And I think there's
Yeah,
a couple texts that you could say that about confidently. I could say cinematography is better, visual effects are better. And then when you look at the performances, Ariana as Glinda is better. She does more with the character, with the role, with the arc of the story in For Good than she got an opportunity to do in the first one.
hmm
The flip side of that, that's the good news. The bad news is the flip side of that, Cynthia suffered in For Good from a performance standpoint because she didn't get as much to do as
yeah,
Elphaba had to do. And now that's by design, the musical between Act 1 and Act 2. That's just the way it is. And John and Chu, I think, did a great job, but he's not going to change the, basic formula there. So that's just kind of the way it is. Until it's just like she's missing everywhere and not getting anything. And, her performance, I think, is still well revered, even among the people that maybe were mixed on the film overall. So I don't have a reason right now to do anything. What I want to see so you said you had Teyana at 1 right now, Taylor?
yeah, yeah. Like, so
Okay.
are you saying that Ariana Grande is the most likely to be nominated, or do you think she's winning? Because
Can't believe you're doing this to me, man. Well,
she's not winning. I won't say that.
let me
She's
flip it
not
back to
winning.
you. Let me.
Okay.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying, and I see how it's far fetched. I'll just put it that way. At least it looks like it is. Okay. But let me flip it back to you then, because
All
I
right.
also, I guess equally, I feel the same way about Tiana Taylor and Amy Madigan as far as like winning. I think
Okay.
all 3 of them are going to get nominated. I think a lot of people in the space probably agree that they're 3 of the 5, probably. But all 3 of them, to me, have a similar kind of trajectory to the victory, right? That's the way I think.
Okay.
Now, there's different reasons that factor in. I already talked about why I think Ariana is a strong contender, but like Tiana Taylor is a first-time nominee, or would be a first-time
Mhm.
nominee, and is fairly young, fairly quote-unquote
Yes.
unknown, especially probably amongst the international body. Is not in the movie a ton. Now, I think
Right.
she's amazing in the film, and I think her presence is in the film the whole movie, even though she might
Yeah.
not physically be on the frame. And then Amy Madigan for me is the horror component. I know Amy Madigan's probably been the most successful as we're sitting here right now on the circuit with critics' wins and stuff,
Yeah.
and I love that for her. But I would literally be shocked if the Academy awarded that performance. I mean, they didn't even give it to Demi Moore last year. You know what I mean? So I just don't
Yeah.
see them. I mean, I'm kind of what do you call it? I'm kind of like a skeptic and a pessimist when it comes to that, because horror is my favorite genre, as you can probably tell.
Sure.
And the Academy just doesn't do anything with horror typically. So those 3 are all kind of together for me right now, just kind of like waiting to see what the precursor circuit is going to tell us as to what's going to happen. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Sure.
Without sounding like a super fan?
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's fair to say that there's not like a strong, clear front
Right.
runner in there. So it's not like you're saying, "Oh, Ariana Grande is going to win over this clear front runner." There's no clear front runner.
No.
So
No.
in that sense, I do understand what you're saying. I feel like the boat of Grande winning for me, like, and maybe that's just the difference is just like how people took in Wicked Part 2. Like for me, I never watched the Broadway show, so I went into Wicked 2 with absolutely zero, like, it was a lot to take in for
Sure.
someone who's not used to that Broadway show. So I don't really know what headspace the voters are going to be coming in with. So for me, like from my experience, that's all I have at this point is my own experience. It was just like, oh, like Ariana Grande, I wanted her to win so badly last year.
Mhm.
Like the fact that she didn't win SAG was always kind of like, man, how did
Yeah,
she not win
that was a
SAG?
bummer.
I felt like they would have loved that. And then I just kind of felt like, well, I don't I don't know. Like I felt like I prefer. That's just me. Like I preferred a performance in the first one. I thought like
Okay.
comedically, like that was what blew me away. Like I don't know if dramatically, like yeah, she showed more layers, but for me, like it wasn't like like the best dramatic acting I've ever seen in my life. So it
Sure.
depends on how voters are going to be taking this in. Are they taking both parts in from Wicked? Maybe you're right.
Mm,
Maybe they're taking both parts and they're combining that performance in their brain and they're saying, hey, she was so funny in the first one. In the second one, we saw more layers. Let's award
right.
it,
Right.
maybe
Right.
you're right. Maybe you could be
I mean,
right.
I hope I am, but I'm also I'm also very mindful of what you're saying and really what everybody but me is saying that she's not going to win. And I mean, it does. Like I said, it does seem far fetched, and I'm accepting that. But in terms of like my rankings right now on December 30th, I mean, there's not a number one. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
until we get the
Might as
SAG
well go with your
victory, and
queen.
until right, yeah. Yeah. But what if she tunes into one of my videos, right? I can't not have her at number one. I mean, would you crazy? She'll unsubscribe so fast. So you see a pretty clear path for Taylor, or not clear necessarily, but you see it happening, her winning then for one battle after another. Is that on the strength of the film as well, probably too? Because I thought that as well.
Yeah, for me, I thought it was a worthy performance, but I read comments all the time, and a lot of comments disagree with me that it's not worthy of a win. So I
Mm,
understand. Like I'm opening that. I'm not like for sure Tiana Taylor is winning. Like I said, I don't
okay.
agree that there is a front runner in this field. I think I feel really good about a nomination for Tiana Taylor. I don't think there's any
Yeah, me
chance
too.
she's missing.
Me too.
And Amy Madigan, I think I'm feeling much better about her making this lineup too. If she got in Globes, like that's all I needed. You got in
Yeah, that was
Globes,
big.
okay,
That
yeah,
was
I'm
big
putting you in because I think SAG is a shoe in. But the thing
for
that
sure.
really the thing with Grande that does give me a little interesting. I think I find a little interesting is that at Globes there's 10 spots, so Arrivo made a lineup of 10, but Grande, she made a lineup of was it 6? She made
Hmm.
a line, or I think 6 nominees. She made a lineup of 6 with a film that didn't even get in for the film
Right.
at Globes. I find that pretty interesting. I think that shows a lot of strength for Grande. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I was gonna have her not even in my 5. I thought that movie Wicked 2, like I think it hit a peak maybe like a couple weeks ago before it came out. As soon as it came out, I think it's just been kind of like dun 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 dun. But
Yeah.
it's not really
And there.
showing to be the case with her nomination so far. And she's going to get in at SAG. So she's going to have Golden Globes. She's going to have Critics'
Right.
Choice. She's going to have SAG. And
Right.
that's pretty good combo there.
What I will say real quick in terms of a winner, because I think we're both in agreement that we don't know who the hell's going to win this, which is very exciting, honestly. It's not a Saldana situation like last year. But with Amy Madigan, as a horror fan especially, and following that really closely is my favorite genre that I almost never even get a chance to talk about on this channel, honestly,
Yeah.
is if that movie, Weapons, can have a showing at the Oscars, then she's in great shape. Because that'll show the support for that film beyond just her. And it didn't get on the makeup shortlist, which, I'm not going to overblow that situation, but like that would have been big had it got, or what if it got a makeup nomination, which now we know it's not going to. So that would have been big. It's still a possibility for screenplay. It's still a possibility for best casting, I think, possible. But it needs something to really elevate her up to leapfrog somebody like Taylor or Grande when the time comes. So what is that? Where are you at on that mindset, by the way? If Madigan's going to win, do you see a path for her winning, basically?
Yeah. I mean, I think she has. If people are going to tell me that Madigan is going to win this, I'm not going to like roll my eyes at that because I think there is a really interesting narrative. And I don't know how, I mean, does she need other nominations to come in with it? I don't know. I don't know exactly. I mean, the makeup miss at the Globe shortlist was. I mean, I'm sorry. The makeup miss at the Oscar shortlist wasn't great, but that casting I think is pretty is a probably better get than actually the makeup, in my opinion. I think that shows more strength that they're responding to the performances more. I think the main thing she's going to have going for her is Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, and she's going to get SAG. Like I feel really good that she's going to get SAG.
Oh,
And then
she's
I think her
getting SAG.
chances, yeah. And I don't think like SAG is very shy for doing the horror performances. They did Emily Blunt just recently in A Quiet Place. She didn't even
won
get
that.
nominated, but Exactly. Yeah. So she won that, and I think that something similar could happen at SAG where she wins that category based on purely narrative. I think SAG loves kind of the Hollywood film, so like they're gonna like weapons. They're gonna like a character that's very like showy the way she is. So I think there's a lot of things going for her that I think that could propel her. And I think Critics' Choice. I think she can easily win Critics' Choice as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think I mean, it's a great performance. Don't get me wrong. And sometimes people will come. You probably get this too, but sometimes people will come at me in my comments when I mention the narrative because they're like, "What about the performance?" Like, I got that all last year about Demi Moore. And I'm like, I love the performance, guys. I'm just saying the narrative, you can't ignore it. And it's been like 40 years since her last nominations or something like that, and she's just turned in so much good stuff. I was trying to think to myself because we were talking about the Hall and if she can win without the other stuff. And, our mutual friend Brian Rowe pointed out to me, Kathy Bates from Misery, they had nothing else. That was a lead performance, wow. I think, but there was no other nominations for that. And she won. And then Ruth Gordon is a pretty popular example in the horror genre too, from Rosemary's Baby, which was much earlier in the 60s. But it's happened before.
Bates, Yeah, speaking of Kathy Bates, like I think she was one of the, if I'm not mistaken, I think she got nominated for Richard Jewell, and that film got no other nominations on Oscar morning, just that one,
right?
If I'm not mistaken. So that could be
sounds right.
Kind of a similar thing.
That sounds right. Let's look at what rounds out our 5 then. So we all have Grande, Taylor, and Madigan, just in a varying order. So for the last 2 spots. We can talk this through a little bit. Right now, as I'm reading it to you, I've got both of the sentimental value ladies, Inga Ibswater Lilius and Elle Fanning, rounding out my 5. And then I've got 2 that I really, really want to be in there somehow, which would be Odessa A. Zion for Marty Supreme and Wunmi Masaki for Sinners.
Okay. So you have that as your 6 and 7.
Yes, 6 and 7. So I want to see what your last 2 are and what you think.
Okay, well, first I have the same 6 and 7. Like so we're in the same, like we have the same people on the table. But what gets in the 5, I think it's different. I would love to come in here with like all the confidence in the world and be like, Gerald, this is what's happening. You're so wrong. I can't do that with this category. This category is a crapshoot. It really is. So many different things can happen. So, but what I will say is I've kind of like have you have a hunch? I do have one hunch this season that I'm going to probably stick with until I can't do anything about it. And my hunch has been that I always felt like Sentimental Value, like, do I really think it's going to get 4 acting nominations, join a very elite group of films that have scored 4 acting nominations, and it's going to happen for an international film? I don't really know. And it's going to happen on the same day that One Battle After Another is going to get 4 acting nominations. So there's something in me that feels like maybe like one of those are going to miss. And the hard part is deciding like which one is going to miss. I have Inga in because I feel like maybe with the Academy, I think maybe like that would be a little bit more their taste to put Inga in, but I'm not sure.
It's the best performance in the film, I think.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are saying, I think she's won more critics prizes too, right? Than
I think so as well.
Elle Fanning has. So like, I kind of went on this is my like wild card. Like this is me being a little risky for my nerdy like stat self. This is me going on a limb, and I put Odessa Zion actually in my lineup.
Love it. Oh my God. I love you. I love you so much. I have her at my 6, but when I saw that movie, man, I was like, please nominate her for this. This is like crazy. Because it's Marty Supreme, it's Timothy Chalamet, who's this marketing genius standing on the top of the damn ball in Vegas and all this shit. I mean, I love that dude. But I mean, like, she's stealing scenes from this guy in the movie. You know what I mean? The core energy of the film. And whenever she was on screen, I was just like, literally my focus just like shifted like to what was happening to her. And I just thought she was so good in that role and brought so many different layers to that performance that I would love to see her show up at somewhere like the SAG if other actors kind of notice that type of stuff, to kind of start a narrative for her, to get to that Academy Award nomination with the way voting overlaps and that kind of stuff. I love that, man. If thank God Mikey Madison's not in the race this year. If all three of them were in the same category, I would like die in my garage. There's no way I could survive. If Grande and Odessa are in the same category this year, that'll be awesome. But also, I would lose it. No, the other performance I do want to mention as a really strong possible for me to be in the 5 for one of those sentimental ladies, in addition to Odessa, I mean, is Wunmi Masaki. For Sinners, just because we're talking about Delroy a minute ago, but he's been missing a lot. Like I expected him to get into some places that he just hasn't been showing up to. But Wunmi has, on the flip side, been getting in and been winning stuff like the New York Critics Circle, and that's, in my opinion, going to be the most nominated film, or at least in conjunction with One Battle. So. It just seems weird to me that Michael B. Jordan, if you have him in, we'll get there in a second, that would be the only acting nomination from the most nominated and most celebrated film of the year. Just seems weird, Now, could it happen? Yeah. So I think she's a strong
and a
possible
film that's
too.
probably going to get and a film that's probably maybe the front runner for casting. Would you say, and the front runner for SAG Ensemble? And
I think so.
It's going to win SAG Ensemble and only get one acting nomination. I kind of agree with you. It seems kind of odd. Yeah, it seems weird.
So, what do we think about? Okay, so we have the same top 7, but you have Odessa in place of Elle Fanning for the 5.
Yeah.
And before we move on to the next category, where are we at with Emily Blunt? What are we doing? What do we think? I know we talked about A Quiet Place, but what is she going to show up here? What's going on?
I mean, you got to put her at 8, right? I mean,
you got to.
You got to put her at 8.
You got it. Oh man,
it seems like such a thing that could just happen, right? Like.
Yeah,
I don't know. It seems like something that like we all saw the Smashing Machine and we're like, oh, okay, that movie's kind of gone. That movie's not getting nominated, and then it can like pop up everywhere, and we just like, like that could easily happen. The Rock shows up, Emily Blunt shows up, and we're like, it was already written in the stars months ago. We just
So let's shift to the lead categories now. So we'll look at lead actor first, best actor. So let me give you the top. We probably have the same top 4, I think, or at least 4. We have these 4, I think. I don't know if it's the same order, but I've got Timothée Chalamet, Leonardo DiCaprio, Wagner Moura, and Michael B. Jordan for Sinners.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Now, in my 5th spot, I can be swayed because I do not feel good about it. I've had him in there for a long time, actually. And I actually had him at initially at 3, I think, and he's dropped down a couple spots. But at my number 5, I have Ethan Hawke currently for Blue Moon.
Okay, alrighty.
I'm assuming you have an Edgerton, right? Because of your Train Dreams Best Picture nom.
No, I do have Ethan Hawke. I do.
You
have
do?
Ethan
Okay,
Hawke.
all right, okay.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
So we have
the same 5. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about is it the same order too? Do you think Timmy's winning this year?
I'm not 100% to be honest, and people are gonna probably be mad at me in the comment section. I'm sorry. I'm not 100% sold that Chalamet is for sure winning. And the reason why I'm not 100% sure is just kind of what we talked about before. Why isn't Odessa showing up? Why isn't Gwyneth Paltrow showing up anywhere? That's kind of been a little odd to me. Again, it's a late breaker, so
in certain areas too.
Yeah. So maybe that's the reason. And then also just I know it doesn't matter. We've had a lot of movies There Will Be Blood win Best Actor. It's not the biggest deal in the world that he's kind of a narcissistic kind of douchey kind of character. But yeah, I mean, I think he's building a narrative. Like I said, I think The Complete Unknown last year is the main reason why I feel like he's setting himself up. It teed him up a little bit to just kind of bring it home for the Best Actor award. So I just don't think it's 100% slam dunk, but I would say he's probably most likely.
Yeah, I've got him at 1 right now too, but I'm kind of with you and kind of what you were saying similarly to earlier with supporting actor, I think you were saying. But I think that Leo's going to win a couple prominent ones. Timmy's going to win a couple prominent ones, and then there might even be a Wagner Moura win in there. I mean, we were talking about the Globes earlier. So all that stuff's going to be kind of a hodgepodge, and we're not really going to know because they're all going to have kind of equal lead ups to the Oscars.
Yeah.
The thing I'm worried about is that if it gets off on the wrong foot for Timothy, if he's going to be able to recover or if it's a domino effect, because I just recorded, it's not out yet, but I just recorded earlier today my Critics' Choice predictions, spoiler alert, although I think that video will be up before this one, but I predicted Leo to win there at the Critics' Choice Awards. So if he wins there, and then I was thinking to myself, Timothy won last year for the SAG, for a Complete Unknown. Are they going to give it to him 2 years in a row?
I know, yeah.
So I'm like, does he lose that because of the, double back-to-back Tom Hanks thing? So then next thing you know, Timothy doesn't have the first two major wins. And it's like, okay, Leo's winning this. And then it's like, does that spiral to it's just Leo's year? Which I love Leo and I love One Battle. And it's, the movie of the year, or definitely one of the movies of the year. So it's not like I'm being pissed about it, but I do think that if Timothy's going to win, I don't know what the guy's got to do if he doesn't win for this. I mean, it was out of this world. You know what I mean? Like what he did in that film. So I just hope that he wins it. And I hope that the narrative doesn't shift in the culture and the zeitgeist to where he ends up falling short again. You know what I mean? But I could see it happening at the same time. So
I think I could too. I mean, we know the Academy by this point, right? How long they waited to award Leo,
Right.
They waited a long time. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for them to be like, oh, let's put a hold on him. We can wait another one, Also, Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be in the Best Picture winner of the year. That's and he's very lovable in the movie. He's very lovable. Yeah. So maybe that matters. And like you said, I think SAG is very important, what you just said, about how they just awarded Chalamet. And I think that movie last year was probably more SAG friendly than even Marty Supreme is. There's a lot of good people in SAG who might not respond to that character as much as they did Bob Dylan, for example. So I think that's something to think about. I don't think it's a for sure close race. I think Leonardo DiCaprio and him are right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a sick irony too, in just a weird universe that it's the two of them. When everybody has been, myself included, have been comparing Timothy's career kind of to Leo's and the trajectory, and it would be 15 years later before he would win an Oscar if he was following Leo's path. And it's like, a friend of mine said Leo should have another Oscar, and I'm like, yeah, I agree with you, but why are we gonna do the wrong thing with Timothy in an effort to fix the mistake that we made with Leo? You know what I mean? It's like we're just doing the same shit over and over again. If Timothy earns it, just give it to him, But I do think that Leo is a huge threat for him, depending on literally in the next week, depending on how the tides kind of shift or if they don't shift. It can make a huge difference overall. Like I said, kind of a domino thing. Do you have anybody in the near misses that you think could legitimately knock out a Michael B. Jordan or Ethan Hawke, perhaps?
Legitimately, Joel Edgerton or Egerton could do it. I mean, obviously he's been getting almost everywhere. We've been seeing the same names show up at Golden Globes and Critics' Choice so far, but I do think it's possible. I do feel pretty good about my 5. I don't know if I really am confident about it. A Joel Edgerton or a Jesse Plemons for Begonia would be another name that maybe could surprise because he's so beloved as well. But other than that, I mean, I feel pretty good about my 5.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was weird that Ethan Hawke missed at one of the early, what was it, the Astros maybe, where they nominated everybody, including a dog, but he didn't get in there. I think wasn't that the one? I was like, what?
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I feel solidified that he's got a great shot because he's so beloved in the industry too, kind of like we were saying. The only other ones that we haven't mentioned that I think at least deserve to have their name in the mix, although I don't know if there's going to be enough of a resume to get them in there, to get them in the door, would be Jesse Plemons for Begonia and Lee Byung-hun for Another Choice.
That'd be amazing.
I did have George Clooney in my 5 for a long time until a couple weeks ago when that started to fall off a cliff. But I think he's still at least somewhat in the mix, kind of like we were saying, depending on what happens at SAG. I mean, if SAG hits him up and ensemble and all this other shit, then maybe it's brought back to life. But right now, I think he's 8 or 9 at best on the Best Actor front there. All right, so that was probably fairly easy when we look at lead actress, which will be our last category that we're going to be talking about in depth on this episode. So for lead actress, the top 3, I'm pretty confident we share probably in the same order, but definitely these 3 ladies. I've got Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, and Renate Ransva for Sentimental Value. Those are my top 3.
Yep.
Yes? All right.
Yep. Same.
Let me tell you what I've got at 4 and 5, and then let's talk about it. So I've got Chase Infinity right now at number 4 for One Battle After Another, which, by the way, is my favorite performance in that movie. Nice. Emma Stone for Begonia would round out my 5. Now, this goes with my theme. I had Begonia in my 10. I've got it getting a lot of nominations. I think in order for that to make sense, it's got to show up in some top of the line places. I've got it in the screenplay category, and I've got Emma Stone here for lead actress. Plus, it's Emma Stone. I mean, she could be in a Alpo commercial this year, and she'd probably get nominated for an Oscar. So they love her, and she's great. So there are some that I think could easily be flipped in for those last couple spots. But what do you have at 4 and 5, or do you have the same two ladies?
I have the same two ladies.
Okay.
I have the same two ladies. And I do feel pretty good about it. Like, I don't feel 100%, but I feel pretty good about it. I think, it just kind of came to a point where I was like, okay, I have a 5th spot. Who do I want to go with? And I was looking at all the other options, and I was just like, you know what? I think Emma Stone is going to be the person who just kind of I don't know, when you compare her with Kate Hudson from Song Song Blue, and you just stack up the movie performance, and then you have the other, how it's been performing so far, and then you think about the performance itself, and I'm just like, okay, you know what? I think that it's more Academy friendly to go with someone they love, like Emma Stone.
Yeah, I agree. And I didn't have her in for a while, but that's because I had Cynthia Erivo in for a long, long time until, like I said, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was like, all right, this is probably not going to happen. Although it still could happen. We were talking about the Wicked strength and whether or not that is helped out by stuff on the circuit. So I've got her at 6 still, Cynthia. I do have Amanda Seyfried and Kate Hudson in the mix also, and then at a very distant 9th place, because it's actually my number 1 performance of the year, and I think it deserves every award that it's eligible for, is Jennifer Lawrence in Die My Love. But
yeah.
Lynn Ramsey movies have
good.
never gotten 1 nomination, so I don't think that's going to happen. But I do have her as a just distant possibility. So what about Amanda Seyfried? Because we were talking about Kate Hudson. Well, let's talk about Amanda, and let's talk about Kate Hudson real quick. So, and I don't want to, I'm not meaning to offend anybody, because I know people have had Kate Hudson in their 5 for a long time. The thing with me is I just don't see that as a nominated performance. Okay. I love her, and I think she's good in the movie, but I think that the industry in general, and maybe some folks that follow this every single year, just want something for Kate Hudson that's Oscar worthy, and I just don't know that this is it, especially when you're looking at performances that we get from Amanda Seyfried and Emma Stone and Begonia and Chase Infinity. I know she's a newcomer, but just the performance itself, I mean, kind of like what you were saying about Emma Stone, is just superior in my opinion. So for Kate Hudson and for Amanda Seyfried, what would it take for you to be like, okay, they're going to be in the 5 here? What do you think needs to happen, or do you think it's even possible?
For Amanda Seyfried, I think she would 100% need SAG, 100%, and that wouldn't even put her on the table of for sure she's nominated. That just would get her in the the possible stack. Right. I think that would probably follow a very similar trajectory to maybe Blonde, maybe, I guess, where Anna de Armas got in for Blonde. But yeah, I don't see Amanda Seyfried too much anymore, based on just how that movie's been performing.
She's so good in it, though, man. She really is.
I know.
Man. It's such a physical, out of body thing that she did in that movie. And the movie I was also kind of mid on, but it's you mentioned Ana de Armas is a great analogy, actually. I mean, that's another movie that I didn't really like, but she was so good in it, and playing a real life person, just like Amanda is. So I don't know. I could see him going for it, but at the same time, it's just the movie itself has just been underperforming so drastically. I mean, even stuff that I was like, oh, it's definitely getting in for costume, song, sure, 100% musical at the Globes, absolutely. And then it didn't get any of that shit. And I'm just like, what? That should have been they didn't even have to close their eyes, and they could have put it in those categories, and it didn't get in on the short list even, let alone a nomination. So it's just crazy. Yeah,
and in I don't know if she's looking great right now, for SAG. I mean, she did get Golden Globes and Critics' Choice, right? So it's not it's doing, I guess, okay. I mean, it got both of those.
She's doing okay.
I think, I think where it ends is probably SAG, because I just do not imagine SAG going for that movie. And then I guess going back to Kate Hudson, I guess I have more faith in Hudson than I would, because I think Hudson getting in at SAG is much more likely. And and then when you stack up Golden Globes and Critics' Choice and SAG, that's a really good package. So I guess SAG would put that in a good conversation. It all depends on okay, who misses at SAG, and could I see them missing at the Oscars? So I think Kate Hudson for me is a for sure 6, only because she does a lot of things, funny, dramatic, sings. has a narrative, comeback narrative. I mean, there's a few things going for her that I could see maybe helping out, being that kind of, again, I hate to use the word naiad again, but being like a naiad type
Right.
of nomination.
I mean, you're right, though. You're absolutely right. I guess I need to detach myself from like comparing it to the other performances, because when you look at the Hall, you're right, especially if she gets in at SAG, which honestly she probably will, just based on what they do over there. So she's probably going to get in there, even if the performance wasn't good. But I mean, it is good. So you're probably right. I mean, that's going to be a hefty like build up. I think that'll help her big time too. So you're probably right there. I've got her
Like,
at 7 right now, but it's possible.
Like, out of the 5 that you have right now, like, who would you say is getting the cut at SAG?
So I did not have Kate Hudson getting in at SAG. I had
okay.
everybody I mentioned, and I had Cynthia Erivo.
Okay.
In place of,
was it Renata Bridesveig or Rose Byrne?
In place of Renata. Yeah, that's what I had at SAG. Yeah.
I think that's very possible.
Yeah, and I'm going on the strength of Wicked, how much they like the first one, how much they seem to like this one. So we'll see. Yeah. I mean, I don't feel great about it. I'll put it that way, but that's what I have right now.
I think that's pretty. I feel pretty good about that. Like, I think Rose Byrne maybe like could be someone who could be vulnerable at SAG, just because that movie is a little like,
that's true.
For adventurous moviegoers, I'll just say that. But I mean, she's so beloved, so I don't know. But Rose Byrne, I think, is a very interesting one. You have her at 2. I'm guessing, is that your predicted winner for Globes Comedy Actress, you think? Or
yeah, the thing with musical or comedy at the Globes, at least, is like that's a really kind of stat category, and they might, the Globes kind of do their own thing usually, as opposed to trying to do what the Oscars are going to do. So, like some other bodies will do, but I could also see like a surprise, like if one battle is really strong at the Globes, maybe Chase Infinity wins. And then it's like, okay, Definitely. Here we go, which would be great. Definitely. I love her. But right now, I've got Rose Byrne doing that.
Yeah, a Rachel Zegler type of win for West Side Story, I think. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. I can see
that.
Well, this is great. What else you want to say? Anything else? I don't want to cut you off. Do you want to say anything else about the lead actress? I think we matched up. We matched up there, though, right? We got all the same. Yeah, we got the same 5, which honestly I didn't expect. I didn't know if you were going to have Chase and Emma in. Because I know a lot of people
at the beginning of the season, I remember when Chase made that move to the lead category. I was like, oh, I don't think I would have done that. I would have probably stayed in supporting. But hey, it worked out for her, I think, because it's a less competitive field. It's showing to be like a real possibility there. Like, in supporting actress looking a little bit more full. So it ended up being a good move, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I would be happy with that 5. I mean, I love Cynthia Erivo so much, but I just, like I said earlier, I just don't know that she really added anything to the first nomination. It's basically at least an on-par performance to what she's already been nominated for. And whether, I like it or anybody else likes it, they don't really nominate performances a second time, especially if we assume Ariana's getting in there. So that would be 2 in the same year. So it would just be crazy for them. I mean, I would love it, but it would be crazy.
I agree with you in that at the very least that, like, with Grande, you see more than you did in the second one, like something different. And Revo, I mean, as amazing as she is, and it has nothing to do with her performance, but I think what you mentioned earlier, just how the show's written, it just kind of like doesn't give her those additional layers that could be something different.
Exactly. Well, I do feel great, Ryan Castleman, because I matched up with you a lot, which I was like, oh my god, he's gonna like scold me for all these weird picks, but we matched up quite a bit. We only had a few mismatches there, and I think in talking through it, you're a stats guy, you're a data guy, I'm a hunch like feeling dude first, and then the other stuff second. So it's like cool to see that we're kind of lining up even with what we're pulling from. It's kind of like matching up in a lot of ways. There's only a couple mismatches, so I feel good, and it was really easy and fun to talk to you for sure, and hopefully we can get together and do it again soon. Why don't you tell everybody real quick, though, where can they find you if they don't know? Because I know you're going to probably have some stuff coming up in award season, so where can they find you?
You can find me at Ryan Castleman. I have a new, very nerdy experiment that I've been working on recently that I'm looking forward to posting. It's going to be a pretty sizable video, so I'm looking forward to posting that one. But Ryan Castleman at YouTube. I
am ready, brother. # ready. Sign me up for that. I love your videos, man. I told you before we started recording that I've been really turned on to you the last couple of years, and I love all the different experiments you do. And It really, I always watch them after I do my prediction videos, just for purposes of me not being swayed too much. And every time I watch yours, and there's a couple other people, I'm like, oh shit, I should have. Of course, I should have predicted that. I should have done that. So you always have great insight, man. So it's great.
Don't let the lab coat fool you, though. I know absolutely nothing. It's all pseudoscience, but it's still fun.
None of us do. That's what I tell my fans in the comment. Like, nobody knows. Like, it's fine. Yeah. We'll find out in March when they give the trophies out, So we just do the best we can. But it was fun talking to you, man. I appreciate it. Going on like an hour 45 here, man. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to keep you up so late over there, but I really appreciate you being here.
Have fun editing this. I'm sorry. But
no, it's all good, man.
But yeah, it's great. It's great having you. And feel free to come on my channel anytime. I would love to have you. I'd love to have you.
Please, man. Have me over there. And you're going to be presenting at my movie awards that I do every year. So thank you for agreeing to do that. I didn't even tell you yet. I'll tell you on the episode. So everybody else, you're going to be presenting best movie this year. The best movie of the year is going to be your category.
Wow. Okay.
So we don't have the nominees yet as I'm recording, because my committee, which is all my channel members, are coming up with the nominees, and that'll be announced next Tuesday nights. And once we have those, I'll shoot them over to you, and you'll see what you'll
spoiler alert, Wicked wins. No,
well, I hope it gets nominated, but I stay out of it. I let them pick. My wife tallies them, and I don't even see the nominees till they're announced. So
nice.
I hope my members come through for me, but we'll see. But either way, it'll be a lot of fun, and thanks for being a part of it. But yeah, thanks for joining me for this Power Rankings video. And just so everybody knows, I'll be back in a couple weeks after we get some of these precursors and finally start to kind of see things come into focus. And I'll do one final Power Rankings video before the week of the nominations, when I give you my final predictions in all 24, I guess, this year categories because of best casting. So a lot of award season content on the way. Ryan Castleman, you're the best. Thanks for being here, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man.
All right, guys.
It's great.
I'll see you out here next time in the garage.